with me today. Today, I have a very special guest who agreed to come here and talk with you guys about something that I think is extremely important, but only if you want to make money and only if you want to serve the people that you're called to serve, make an impact while making money. So today's topic is how to leverage the most underutilized asset in your business. Seems very appropriate right now as we're trying to make sure we manage expenses and yet get the most that we can out of everything we've got. So I am joined by none other than Yara Golden, who is a expert at email marketing, communicating with people in a way that builds relationship. You've seen all of these emails that have come out from companies lately that are completely tone deaf, like don't even like take into account the current climate, the situation, everything else. So Yada's here. She's going to help us understand how to maximize our list, how to make sure we're building a relationship that matters, and how to make sure that we're actually monetizing that and making money. Yada, welcome to Bulletproof Business.
I am here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, you didn't ride into this show like Dean normally rides into the studio on a white noble steed. I don't think I'm going to hold that against you, provided the content that you're about to share is good.
Okay. I see you're being heckled here.
I am being heckled. That's one of the reasons I love this group, is because my own people in here heckle me. So thank you, Nicholas Bailey, for heckling us. So Yada, let's get down to it. So, right now, like what do you see people doing with their email list or not doing with their email list that is costing them sales and the ability to have the kind of impact that they're really looking to have?
Well, I think that the first thing that I'm seeing a lot of entrepreneurs out there doing is that they are ostriching, right? Like they see what's going on in the world and maybe they're feeling uncertain or they're feeling scared or they're doing their best to manage or navigate the waters that we're in right now. And instead of broadcasting, they're actually going silent, right? And so that is one of the worst things that you can do to an email list, is to ghost them completely. Because if somebody's on your email list, they are in one way, shape, or form looking to you for leadership, whatever it is that you provide, right? Even if you provide a product, if you provide a service, a course, whatever it happens to be, you are one of the people that they turn to for direction. And right now is a time that people are very much looking for direction. They're reaching out, trying to grab any kind of lifeline or so one of the things I'm seeing a lot of people do, which is a huge mistake, is to completely fall silent and, stick your head in the sand and pretend like nothing's going on, or like no one cares what it is that you have to say, or like there's enough people out there saying the thing that you want to say, and so why should you even bother?
Well, and I think that's really interesting too, because some of those people have likely been ostriching from their list for quite a while, right? So you might find yourself in a situation where even, despite the current circumstances, you really hadn't been leading those people, communicating with those people in an effective way before this. And I've heard you talk about this before, but I think there's some people have like some real resistance to either re-engaging with their list after a period of silence and or knowing what to say with what's going on right now. Like, what do you say to those types of people?
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually on the phone with somebody today during one of our group calls that had this exact issue. He's just like, I'm committed. Like I was going to write this indoctrination sequence and really put myself out there for the first time in a long time. And then here comes COVID-19. Like, what do I do now? Like, I didn't know what to say then. I was just wrapping my head around what I was going to say now. And now here comes this like pandemic. Like, what do I do? And I said, I think that the main issue that I've seen in relationship communication one-on-one or with like an intimate partner, or relationship or communication between one to many, like in an entrepreneurial relationship, is that we have a hard time showing up and letting ourselves be seen as who we are and as who we aren't. And that is really what you get to step into with your list, regardless of what's going on in the outside world. It's saying, hey, this is my experience of this situation, and this is what I think is best for me, for you, for your mom, for your dad, for whomever. And it's really putting a flag in the ground and saying like, this is what I believe, this is what I stand for, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and letting the cards fall where they may. The word unsubscribe is a bad word to a lot of email marketers. And they're like, well, what if they unsubscribe? Like, what if I show them who I really am and they unsubscribe? And it's like, well, if they don't mesh or resonate or align with who you really are, then I have a secret for you. That's not your person, and they shouldn't be there to begin with. Because I don't know about you, but I cannot stand to bend and shape and mold myself into what I think somebody else wants me to be, as like in personal relationships, let alone in a business context. Like, I want to run my business and create my business so that it supports who I really am and the kind of life that I want to have, not pandering to like, are they going to like this? Are they not going to like this? Like, I don't want to be scared of my subscribers. I want to serve my subscribers at the highest level. And that means showing up as who I really am, regardless of what's going on around us.
Well, and I think the other thing that the point that you made there is, if you're building a relationship, the only way to build a real relationship is actually to show people who you really are. Otherwise, you have a pseudo relationship that's not necessarily built on solid ground. And I think one of the things that's so obvious and evident right now is people are looking for connection, right? And there's a massive difference between real connection through a relationship versus posturing, pretending, hiding, like all of those things. And what is so critical right now is that you have that real relationship with, with your close friends and family, but with your clients, and also your expanded reach of your email list and social influence and everything like that.
Completely. And I think I used to talk about this a lot, and I know we've had this conversation. It's like being the eye of the storm, right? Our job first and foremost is to create peace and stability for ourselves. And once we master that, then we can say, okay, let me see if I can loop my kids in. Let me see if I can loop my partner in. And let me see if I can loop our families and our neighborhood. And, you just keep expanding and expanding. And I think the more I think about influencers and platforms and audiences and all of these things, it's the individual's ability to hold space and to create certainty and create peace for a larger and larger portion of the population, right? And so we are being tested to say, okay, are you really going to keep it together? Are you really going to walk your talk, or are you just talking, right? It's so easy to give people lip service when you're on camera and you're just like, oh yeah, everything's wonderful. But when the shit hits the fan and you really have to show up and say, all right, my employees are on the line, my business is on the line, my family's on the line, I can't leave my house. Like there's an invisible disease out there that I can't see to like swat it away. How am I going to react? How am I going to respond in that situation? And that is what you're being called to share and to put out there for the world to see. And I think that a lot of influencers that have kind of ruled up until now are being put to the test, right? And after this, we're going to see a whole new era of like who people are actually turning to for their information, for that leadership.
Yeah. So I want to take a minute and just acknowledge a few of the comments that have come through.
Yeah.
Jared says, hey, James and Yara, be wise and be sure to sanitize. So thank you. Thank you for that, Jared. Also, I wanted to also highlight, Nicholas said that your makeup has been on point lately.
Thank you.
I am a little bit disappointed, admittedly, that he didn't acknowledge my makeup. And
really hard at it too.
I have, and it would be nice for somebody to take notice, but I guess today's not the day. So let's talk about a little bit about the business side of things. Okay. So, I think one of the things that's clear is establishing an authentic, real relationship with your list is important in terms of just having that connection.
Mm-hmm.
But dollars and cents, okay? People who are not emailing their list, people who are not communicating with the people that have raised their hand and signed up and said, hey, you have something that I think is interesting. You're somebody that I want to follow, somebody that I want to learn from. Every marketer that I know runs ads for lead magnets, gets opt-ins, has all of these ways of capturing people's email addresses, and most of them are extremely short-sighted, and once that person goes through their initial funnel, they never hear from them again.
Yeah.
Right. And so here you are, and let's just do the math here. Jason, thank you. Jason says he likes my makeup. I freaking knew I could count on somebody out there. Thank you, Jason. So let's just talk about like the numbers. Let's just say on a good day, you were getting leads on your list for $3 to $4, right? For every like 100 leads you get, that's $300 or $400. And if you're not communicating with them, you're not getting any return back on those leads that you turned into subscribers or followers or whatever, right? And a 100 person list is extremely small, right? These numbers get way worse when you're talking about 1,000, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000.
Well, and I do want to like interject there, because a lot of people have that thought, right? Like 300 people is a small list and they feel insecure or like it's not worth it. But if you were standing in a room in front of 300 people, you would not feel that way.
That is true. That's a very good point.
Not an insignificant number of people.
Yeah, I can't even hide behind my makeup to disguise the fact that you've proven me wrong on that point. Well, actually, I know for a fact that recently you had somebody in your group who had a list of 500 people.
Yeah.
In the middle of all of this stuff going on, no sales call makes a $9,000 sale off of a 500 person list, right? And I think that's an amazing story. But the point that I'm making here is the bigger your list, the more money you have paid to create that list.
Completely.
Right? And now you're not emailing them, you're not having any contact with them, you're not communicating with them. You have this big asset that you're doing nothing with. And forget about the relationship piece for a second. As a business owner, shame on you for not maximizing that asset.
Are you shaming people right now?
I did. I just did underutilization of assets shaming.
Yes.
That's a new thing. What do you have to say about that?
Oh, I completely agree. It's so funny. I've kind of gotten on this soapbox lately where I'm like running as the shiny, sexy thing that everybody wants to do, right? They want to have the highest performing ads. They want to get the lowest cost per lead, all of these things. But I think the thing that people forget forget completely is that when you're running ads, the ad itself is not necessarily designed to sell your thing. Does it happen to sell it sometimes? Yes. But the ad itself is designed to capture a lead. And that means capture an email address. Why? So that you can take it from a platform like Facebook and Google and YouTube and Instagram and all of those wonderful places that are pay to play and bring them home to your email list where you can market to them in perpetuity pretty much for free, right? Like we're going to pay for an email service provider anyway, but you can market to those people forever for free unless you happen to do something that turns them off and they unsubscribe, or they don't resonate with you, in which case they'll go away too. And so you're stocking a pond with your ideal client who's already raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm interested in that thing that you're talking about, but maybe I don't know, like, or trust you enough to just pull the trigger right away. Let me hang out here and see what you're all about. And then if you don't show up, they're like, well, I guess I'm not going to buy because you're not really showing up and letting me see who you are or telling me.
Or I forgot about you. Like you became irrelevant, which I think it's almost worse to become irrelevant in somebody's world than it is for them to dislike you.
Yeah.
Right? Because irrelevant, you're like, I don't even care anymore. Like it doesn't even make any sense. Let's just check in with the comments here.
Yeah.
Kaylin says, listen to Master Yoda, you must. Listen to Master Yoda, you must. I'll do that in my best Yoda voice. Forgive me, everyone, for having to deal with that. But the point of all of this is that you've got the opportunity to have dividends being paid to you.
Yeah.
Right. And right now, people are uncertain with, where to spend money. Right. And what we're talking about here today is you've already spent the money. Now it's time to build that relationship and collect the return that you've invested for. Because as most people know, people need, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus touches and follow-ups before somebody actually does business with you. They want to know, are you real? Do I believe what you have to say? Do I connect with you? Is the thing that you're offering of value to me? Like all of these things, right? And not all of that can always happen in a funnel. I mean, you have a you have a good funnel that converts cold traffic at 6%, 7%. Like one of my funnels converts at 7%. I know one of yours converts a little bit higher, right? That means 92% of people, they may have opted in, but they didn't buy it. So, like, why would you not market to those 92% of people who are on your list and actually create that relationship and create a win-win, right? I talked in here the other day about how selling is serving. Mm-hmm. And if you're sticking your head in the sand and you're not emailing your list, then you're not serving. You're not out there selling.
Well, and I mean, I think that you really have to look at your product, right? Like, do you believe in your product, and do you really believe that what you do and what you have to offer is going to serve your client at the highest and best possible level, right? And if you don't, if you're afraid to sell, if you're afraid to put your offer out there, if you're afraid to do the wrong thing, then you're still focused on you, right? What are they going to think about me? Is my thing good enough? Is it going to work? Like, who cares if you think that you're going to help somebody? Like, you've got, like, it is our moral responsibility to put the answers that we have to the problems that exist out in the world out there, right? And so I think one of the other things that people get caught up in is this idea of like, I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't know how to market correctly. I don't know what to say in my emails. Like, I don't know how many times I should be emailing them. I don't know if I'm doing it too much, if I'm doing it too little. Did I make an offer? It's like, just send the email. Like, type it out. It's not rocket science. You're talking one-to-one, even though you feel like you're talking one-to-many. And that like, so many entrepreneurs will get caught like deer in the headlights, right? They're like, oh my God, I'm sending an email out to 300 people. And it's like, yeah, but when they receive it, it's still a one-to-one communication, and it needs to feel that way. If it feels like you're, trying to be a big corporation speaking to like hundreds of thousands of people, no one's going to buy that. And it feels distant, it feels disconnected, and it feels disingenuous. And nobody likes that. Nobody's going to buy from that, right? Because they know that it's just Yara Golden sitting behind her laptop writing an email. Like, we have to respect our readers. Understand in this day and age, people know that there are autofills. So I just drop it. Like, I don't put like, hey, James, how's your Monday going? Like, nobody talks like that, right? Like, let's just be real human beings and talk to each other like real human beings. And remember that even though you're writing an email one-to-many, when they receive it, it's still a one-to-one communication, and they need to feel that way, or else it's not going to land. It's not going to connect.
That's right. Right. So, so we probably have not as much time here right now to go over everything that you need to know. One of the things that I am very excited about, and I had an inside track on this, is
James.
so Yada's been running a challenge called the Subscriber Reviver Challenge for some time, has had countless positive results from this. Like, I mean, people who had like dead lists who they thought hated them with, 25, 30%, even in some cases, 70% open rates after they went through the challenge, making thousands and thousands of dollars. The Subscriber Reviver Challenge is awesome, but the cool thing that we wanted to share with you guys today is she's actually doing it live again, because we've had it evergreen. She's doing it live again starting next week. The entire goal of the challenge is to get your email audience ready to buy from you again while helping them to get to know, like, and trust you. Yada, what else do you want to say about the Subscriber Reviver Challenge and why people who have a list should be interested in participating?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's like the coolest name ever. So just that alone, it's like Subscriber Reviver. Who doesn't want to revive their subscribers, right? I think the oldest list that we've revived to this point has been close to 5 years old. And they came back strong with like a 25% open rate, which is awesome.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's one of the biggest questions that I get is like, well, I don't necessarily need to revive my audience, but I do need to like re-engage them. And this is what the challenge does, right? Like we are all about creating an indoctrination sequence, which I've kind of renamed an onboarding sequence, and it's getting somebody caught up to date with who you are, what you do, how you do it, how you learned it, how you can do it for them, how you've done it for other people, right? Like those are all of the questions that we're answering. But the beautiful part about the way that we do it is that we do what I call story selling. And so if you think about, a dog, a pet, somebody that you've had to give a piece of medicine to that didn't want it, you wrap that in a piece of cheese and they take it super willingly, right? They're just like, oh yeah, they'll gobble it up and they get the benefits of feeling better without ever realizing that they actually had their medicine, right? And that's the exact same way that we approach the readers on these lists is we're saying, you know what, instead of overtly telling you what we do and how we do it and why we do it, we're going to tell you the story in our life that actually led us to have that realization, led us to that epiphany, and we're going to let you go on that journey with us. So by the end of it, you know exactly what the entrepreneur or the business does, you know how they got there, and it really kind of flexes that expertise muscle without being too overt about it. And we create moments where the reader can step in and say, hey, I want to know more about that. Like that's the specific story that resonated with me, and I'd like some help with that. Because one of the things about vulnerability and really sharing your heart and showing up and allowing yourself to be seen for who you are and for who you're not is that you'll realize very quickly that the people that are following you are somewhere on the same path that you've traveled. Right. And so when you share those stories and you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you actually create the space for them to reach out and say, hey, I was reading that thing and all I could think was like, me too. I felt like that too, or I've been in that same situation too. And that's one of the most powerful things that you can get a reader to say is me too, because that actually creates the space for them to come in and ask you for help. And so that's really where you're selling, but you're selling through a story. So it feels very, very natural and not pushy or salesy or insensitive, right? Going back to what you were saying in the beginning, like we are navigating these new waters and it's a new marketplace and there's a weird temperature out there. But if you're just sharing your story, nobody can ever tell you that your story is not true because it's your story. Like it's your perspective on what's going on. And if they come closer, then, you're not actually selling, people are buying from you.
Yeah, that's amazing. So if you guys are listening and you have a list and you're not getting 20-30% open rates on your list, if you're not getting like tons of replies, I know you had one person, you sent an email out, like 70 replies to an email in 45 minutes. And he's like, what do I do? And you're like, sell them your thing, right? Yeah. If you're not actively engaged with one of the biggest assets in your business, which is your list, go to subscriberreviver.com, sign up. Yada's going to be doing this live. Like you've only done it live once before.
Yeah.
And so you're doing it live again, which is incredible. It's time to let your people hear from you. It's time for you to get the return on that asset that you put so much time, money, and effort into creating. And I personally don't know anybody better to guide you through that process than Yada. She's written for some of the biggest names that you would know, and helped a lot of people create relationships and maximize their email list. Yada, thank you for being here. Thank you for jumping on short notice because I thought this was an important topic. And I was like, hey, can you do this? Thank you to all of the people who commented, including my heckling friends on in here. And I think that's what we got for you guys today. Go to subscriberreviver.com, check out what Yada's up to, and we will talk with you guys later.
Bye. This is cute.